All right, what is going on, guys? Joey here, and today we're going to talk about bracing in the deadlift because it seems to be the topic of, I don't know, people are just like interested in it at the moment. So I'm just going to kind of go over it a little bit. Shout out to Mr. Nick Manders. I thought, first off, we got to dissect this, right? Because when it comes to engagement, powerlifters, they're aside from like the winners, right? The people who are already locked and loaded at the top, they've been doing this. You know what I mean? When you got the young guns, they latch on to any new thing, any new hot thing, right? Because they're younger, they don't have the like the discipline. And they haven't been there and done that. And they don't really trust in their technique or what they're doing at the moment. They're looking for that little edge. They're looking for that little, that little thing that they can do to get them that, little extra edge that's gonna add hundreds of kilos to their total and make them a champ. You guys get what I'm saying? I'm being dumb. Like, I'm being facetious, but basically when you say something like don't brace on deadlifts, that's going to get a lot of people to be like, huh? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean don't brace on deadlifts? So I thought that was really smart in terms of getting people engaged. But he didn't just like meme. You know what I mean? He memed, right? And he used lots of profanity. Shout out to Profanity Gang. Hashtag Profanity Gang in the comments down below. But he ended up explaining his position. And like, I have a hard time, unless I'm trying to play devil's advocate. It's difficult to, disagree. But I still think that most people should actually use the belt until you get to a certain point. But I thought it was a good video. He, goes into detail and kind of explains everything. So Nick Manders on IG, if you want to find that video and hear his explanation. He talks about the squat, bracing in the squat versus bracing in the deadlift, which is the timing. The timing with my last video is very interesting. Now, the SPD belt just came out. I personally believe that's just a coincidence. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I made my video based on the SPD belt, where we talk about kind of what Nick explains when he's talking about the, on deadlift, sometimes a smaller belt is better. And I was kind of leaning towards it's more likely that on the deadlift, you're going to want a smaller belt. And then he takes it a step further and says that's why you could try beltless. I mean, you should try all three, right? Try big belt, thin belt, no belt, see which one feels better. But like, more than likely on the squat, you're going to want to use a belt, like 100%. More than likely 100%. Maybe like 89%. How about that? So I think that people should mostly, especially if you're just starting out, use a belt, because the belt can help you be aware of yourself, right? Like, are you even really bracing? You can kind of just learn your body a little bit better, and the same goes for the other lifts. One thing that I also liked about the video is that he basically said, and not in this verbiage, but basically said, you don't want to brace on the deadlift like you do on the squat. It's like different, right? And that naturally, by pulling the deadlift, you're gonna tense up, right? And you're gonna tense up in the areas where you literally have to tense up in order to like move the weight. Whereas like in the squat, you're kind of like expanding, you're like bracing, you're locking things down, but you're also kind of like pushing out a little bit to really create that pressure. And I just think that learning that is like super important. And then the deadlift, maybe you're just like kind of flexing your abs and wearing a belt so you feel safe. Whereas in a squat, you're going to like flex your abs, you have your belt on, but you're also like kind of pressing a little bit up against that belt to create that pressure. So when you get into the bottom, you become like artificially bigger but you're also like tight, you know, and then you can build a lot of pressure in the bottom and pop up. Let me tell you the level of pressure that I try to create, you know, squatting 700 plus 750, it's very different. Even with like 545, you could just like get away with you don't even have to brace, you just like squat, you know what I mean? It is harder though. It's definitely harder, and I have a theory on that. But anyway, I think not using the belt, again, it's good to get people's attention. I like that he explained you know, everything kind of in depth. He wasn't really like, you need to do things only this way, which is something that I would like powerlifting to get away from, but it was more so like, try it. And I mean, dude, we've been saying it depends. I've been saying it depends since like 2014 because it does depend. And that's the thing. All of this stuff is good for discussion. It's thought provoking. I will tell you that there are a lot of people that get the job done. And they don't. And this could be another video on its own. They don't like dwell on these things too long, right? Like they're aware of it in the beginning, and maybe occasionally every couple months it might be like a small thing that they figure out about their training or how they like to do things. But you should not, like, there's definitely something called paralysis paralysis, something like that, where you're analyzing so fucking much and you're so smart that your thoughts get all tangled up and you just end up like not doing anything. Or you are like kind of moving in the right direction, but you're your own worst enemy in a sense that you're really slowing yourself down and preventing yourself from like getting to that next level because like you were onto something. Maybe you use a belt and you're great with a belt, right? You're amazing with the belt. But then you hear something like this, you see this video and you're like, oh shit, I need to take the belt off. And then maybe you suck. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that, I mean, you might be better, but you might also be worse. So, you know, it's just one of those things that you have to kind of, it is hard to figure it out on your own sometimes because you're not sure, right? And you want to do the best thing that's going to help you get ahead the most. And sometimes you need someone to help you through that, right? Sometimes having a coach who's been there, done that, they have a shitload of like experience to like pull from. They're going to know like more than likely it's going to be this. And you also have to know when to just commit. Like just fucking commit to something, you know? You can't just be like going back and forth between things. And I think if I look at myself, when I was training for a competition, in the early days, like in the early days, like 2016, 2017, maybe even before that, I would have those like, you know, I would be like, man, should I do this? Should I do that? What should I do? But then when I would just kind of look at the facts, be like, you know what? This is showing me a little bit better results than this. Fuck it, I'm gonna go with that. You know what I mean? And then I would just commit to it. And you will be surprised with a belt, without a belt, whatever. You'd be surprised how much ground you can gain when you just commit to something and put the time in. Anyway, this video was a lot of different things in one, but I thought it was a really thought-provoking discussion. And I'm not against, you know, if you're gonna say something like that and then really explain it, that's a good thing. But I also think that younger lifters need to understand that if it isn't broke, maybe you don't have to fix it. And, you know, just don't self-sabotage. I know that's way easier said than done. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Again, thanks, Nick, for that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm really looking forward to 2024. Got about a month left in the year. It's been a very interesting year. I'm going to try to highlight some of the best performances from the year. So that should give me a lot to do. I'll try to jump on camera and pull up some meets. If there are any meets or, you know, moments with the team that you guys are like that really stood out to you, that you're really into, please let me know, and I will consider them. But there are just like a couple like breakout performances that were really special to me, and I definitely want to give them like their own little like highlight. I don't think I've ever done anything like that before, so that's super interesting to me. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.